Hey guys, it's Shauna bringing you another video tutorial. Today we are making this really cute faux leather art journal. It is made with a faux leather ribbon roll from the Ribbon Boutique at Hobby Lobby and some additional ribbon for closure. Now this is Velcro and it opens up and it has two pockets on both sides, and those pockets house an accordion journal that is made from watercolor paper, Strathmore watercolor paper. I'm going to show you how I made that, and it slides out of the pocket so that you can go ahead and open it up, enjoy your artwork or work in it freely, and then once you're done you can stick it back in the pocket and enjoy the journal. Okay, so I'm going to show you step by step on how to put this together, and I hope you guys enjoy. Bye. Hey guys, let's jump right into this, why don't we? So we're going to start off with our chipboard. I have two pieces here that measure 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 times 2, like I said, and then I have a 1/2 inch by 6 1/4 inch piece that I'm going to use for the spine. Now I've already stuck double-sided tape down on the back of these, and what I'm going to do now is get my ribbon. This is a faux leather ribbon roll that I got from Hobby Lobby. It comes rolled up like this, and it comes in a length of about 24 inches by 8 inches. This piece is 11 inches by 8 inches, so you're able to get 2 of these little booklets out of one roll, you know, if you plan on making multiples, or, you know, using this kind of design for a craft fair or something like that. Now, what I'm going to do first is go ahead and measure this, because I just like to do that. I don't want to eyeball it. I'm not great at eyeballing when it comes to the initial placement. So I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch here and 3/4 of an inch from the other side as well. And then I'm going to just draw a line out at 3/4 of an inch. And you don't have to do this. This is just something I like to do for me. If you feel like you're good at eyeballing, by all means, eyeball away. But I've just had my share of bad eyeballing experiences. I'm traumatized to eyeballing now. So just 3/4 of an inch, which, you know, that number is dictated by the size of the piece that I'm working on. If you want to be a measurer as well, where your line is placed is going to be determined by the size of your piece of paper or ribbon fabric, as we have here. So what I'm going to do is get this tape taken off, and the closest thing I have to pull this off is this. I'm not even quite sure what this is. I think it's a carving tool of some sort. And I'm just pulling the backing off of my chipboard. Now, I had a 3-inch roll of double-sided tape that I used for this, but you know, you can use anything. You can use glue even if you want to. I mean, this is a fabric material, so you do want to use something that is super sticky, that will stick well to a rougher surface. And I am actually going to go ahead and add some glue around the edges of this and stick it down. Make sure this is on camera, that would be helpful. I'm just going to line it up where I drew my lines where they intersected and go ahead and place that down. I'm going to take my spine piece. You might not need this glue. I mean, I'm just taking extra precaution just because this fabric material may need some extra help sticking. So I have about 1/8 of an inch between these two pieces, sticking them down, and I will get this last piece placed with 1/8 of an inch of space as well. Make sure it's on the line that I drew. Okay. So this is what we end up with. Now what we have to do is cut the corners off at an angle so that we can fold this up. Because this is thicker than a piece of paper would be, you're gonna want to leave a little more space than you might normally leave if you were just cutting paper to fold up. That's probably a little too much, but I'd rather have too much than too little. It's hard to fix too little, but too much can be trimmed away. I think that's a good amount there. Just cutting all 4 corners off at an angle. And this is done to reduce the bulk at the fold when you fold this up. Because if you left all that on there, it would be super bulky here in the corners. So you can do a practice run with your fold to see if it's going to cover, and that's going to cover just fine. So what I'm going to do is put down some double-sided tape around the edges. I am also going to end up using glue on this, but I like to use both when I have something like this that is a fabric material. You just want to give yourself the best chance of having everything stay stuck the way it's supposed to. So this is 1/2 inch double-sided tape that I have here, and I'll leave a link to the products that I'm using in the description. So I'm going to get this pressed down and pull up the backing, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have my double-sided tape ready, and I'm just going to take, this is art glitter glue, take this and put it right here on these flaps. And then I'm just going to fold it up and make sure it is tight against the edge of the chipboard. And press it down. This is one reason I like using the double-sided tape as well as the glue, is because when I'm ready for this to get stuck down, I really need it to stay stuck while I adjust along the edges. So I have some glue poking out here. That's fine. That doesn't bother me. And that's that. So I'm going to do this side as well, and then I'll do the rest off camera. I wanted to show this side because I'm probably going to end up clipping this while it dries, and I just wanted to show you that process as well. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this up again, making sure it is tight against the edge of the cardstock. And there you have it. I have very sticky fingers here, but this is the corner I was referring to. To make sure that it dries flat, that everything is tucked in where it's supposed to be, I'm just going to go ahead and clip this with just a metal clip that I have, and I will leave that clipped. I'll probably do another clip as well. I'll leave that clipped while it dries. And so I'm going to do the other two corners, get everything clipped up, and I'll be right back. So here we have it. We have all four edges all glued up, taped up, and I have them clamped at the corner so that those will dry flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this off to the side and let it continue to dry. And while that is happening, I'm going to bring on my scoreboard, and we're going to do the scoring for the accordion book that's going to go on the inside of the little booklet that we're making. So what I have here, I mean, you probably can't see it all. I have 2 sheets of watercolor paper that measure 6 inches by 24 inches. And I cut these from this, well, that's big, this gigantic watercolor pad from Strathmore. It is the 400 series, and it measures, they measure 18 by 24 inches. So I put this into my big cutter and I just trimmed it down to be 6 inches by 24 inches. So there's 3 of them, and we're just going to score them on our scoreboard here using our bone folder here. So what I'm going to do is score them at 4-inch intervals. So you're going to score at 4, at 8, and at 12. And then, because it's so long, you have to flip it over and do the scoring this way. You're just going to score on this one at 4 and at 8, since there's already a score mark at the 12-inch line. So that's one, and we're going to do a second one. Now, the piece I cut up produced 3 of these 6-inch sheets, but we're only going to use 2 of them. This is because the more you use, the thicker your booklet is going to be. So if you want a thicker booklet, use all 3. If you want a medium-sized booklet like we're going to have, or accordion booklet, then just use 2. If you want a smaller one, use 1. Makes sense? So go ahead and flip it over and score at 4, score at 8, and make sure that the line that you scored at 12 is actually at 12. If your line at 12 is not at 12, when you flip it over, that means your paper was a little bit more or less than 24 inches long. So that's just something you have to rectify at the cutting stage of things. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to fold, turn it this way, we're going to fold it up, burnish, and then fold it down like this and burnish. And we're going to do that in alternating fashion until we get to the end. So up, then down, and then up. And then you can go through and burnish or flatten your edges when you're done. Or you can do it while you're doing your folding, it doesn't matter. So what you end up with is this, and we're going to create, I'm going to create the second one, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I folded up the 2 accordion books, and now we're going to attach them to one another to make a very long accordion. So what we're going to do is this. You want to attach it on a, where there's a fold and a straight edge, so no fold. You don't want 2 folds, and you don't want 2 straight edges. You want it to be where there's a fold and a straight edge. So once you've figured out where that is, you're just going to take your glue and be generous with it. Besides the fact that the book is going to be a little thicker in this place where we've glued it, you want that to be the only difference, right? You want that to be, you don't want it to be where it will pull apart, or where it's so obviously glued together that, you know, takes away from your accordion book. So you want to be generous with the glue and then get this lined up really, really well. Make sure it's all straight and the edges are where they should be. And once you have it lined up, give it a good mash so you can get make sure it's all connected where it should be. You might want to flip it over so that you can flatten it out. Take a look at the fold. And if you see anything awry, maybe, hopefully, flying bone folder, you can fix it before the glue dries. This is, I think I said it was art glitter glue. It's a good glue for projects like this just because it has a good stick, but you have a little bit of working time once you put it down to get things all straightened up and, you know, before it gets fully stuck together. So that's how it's gonna look when it's all glued together. I'm going to put this to the side. I'm probably gonna put something on top of it. I'll put this to the side, allow it to dry, and I'll be right back. Okay, we have everything all dried. Our accordion book is dry and ready to go. We have our cover that is dry and ready to go. And what we're going to do now is put a liner that covers up this chipboard. I have this sheet here that measures 6 inches by 9 inches. I already put some double-sided tape on the back of it. I'm just going to put a little glue around the edges, especially to make sure that it seals properly. And this is going to be glued to the leatherette portion as well as the chipboard portion, so you just want to make sure that it all gets stuck down properly. So you can go ahead and eyeball this. And stick it down. Now you want to get this well burnished, especially in the places where it touches the leatherette ribbon. So go ahead and use your bone folder, get that pressed down, stuck down. And you're going to want to go over it in places where you see that it is lifting up. It might resist sticking to this initially. You just got to work that glue in and get it stuck down. You're going to want to find where the book closes and go ahead and try to close it up. And it's going to want to crease. So go ahead and buff out those creases. You want to get that glue worked into the scores. Be gentle because the glue is still wet but firm. Firm but gentle. And once you close it up, you're really able to see then all the places where it really needs to be burnished again. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish this, and then I'm going to put it underneath something heavy so that it will dry flat and have some good contact points. So I'm going to do that and I will be right back. Okay, so we have our liner sheet drying. It's sitting underneath the heavy book, and now we're going to, while that's drying, we're going to go ahead and work on the pockets to go in the inside. So we have two pieces of pattern paper here. It's cardstock, pattern cardstock, and they measure 7 1/8 by 5 inches. So we're going to do some scoring and make our pockets. So on the side that measures 7 1/8, you want to score it 1/2 inch, flip it over and score it 1/2 inch again. So 1/2 inch on either side. And then when you turn it on the 5 inch side, you're just going to score it in half, so that 2 1/2 inches. And you do that for the second one as well. 2 1/2 inches, half, and half. Okay, put our scoreboard away and go ahead and fold on the score lines. This one is folded in half. Burnish. Alright, so we need to trim away half of this because these are tabs, so we only need one on each side. So we're going to trim away half on both sides. And when you trim it away, you want to cut it off at an angle. And then cut this entire piece off just on the inside of the score. So you're cutting out the whole score line and just a little bit on the inside of it. So when you're done, you end up with something that looks like this. It's easier to see it this way. Okay, and then you're going to flip it over and do the same thing. You're going to cut at an angle up to the score and then trim the whole thing off on this side. And this is what you end up with. You're going to fold this up and then we're just going to glue these tabs down like that. You take your glue and get these tabs glued down. It matters that you glue the tab on the outside instead of, on the inside like that, just because when you glue it on the inside, the paper that we're going to be inserting in and out of the pockets can get caught on the tab. So I do think that it's necessary to glue the tab on the outside of the pocket. So that's what you end up with when you're done. I'll do the second one off camera and be right back. Okay, so we have our two pockets done here, and before we glue these down, I want to actually glue in our closure because this is going to go underneath one of the pockets at least. So this is a ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's from the Robert Stanley collection. I think it's actually sewed as a floral embellishment, but it has a wired edge. It's a wired edge ribbon. That's not necessary. It makes it a little easier in some circumstances to manipulate it and get it to bend and fold the way you want it to. But this is a 1.5 inch ribbon, and I'm just going to glue down a portion of it here, and it's going to go across the front. So I'm going to be using just my regular PVA glue. Go ahead and get this spread out here. This is a mesh style of ribbon, so the glue will go through to the other side. If you're using a good glue, such as the art glitter glue, reptile glue, I think Barely Art is a good one, it will dry clear, and so you won't be able to see any of the glue watermarks, generally speaking. So I'm just going to center this on our book and bend the ribbon over. The part that has the glue will get stuck down. I haven't yet applied glue to the rest of it. So once that's in, I'm going to take a piece of my double-sided tape paper, the backing paper, because it won't stick to the glue, and I'm just going to clip that in and hold that in place. So while that is, drying, we can go ahead and attach the rest of the closure. So just you can add the glue to the book or to the ribbon, however you'd like to do it. Make sure you get the edges as well. And once you put the glue down, I would go through it and try to smooth it out. I mean, that helps if you do happen to see some watermarks or glue marks, whatever they're called when it's glue. You want them to not be just blobs, you know. So smooth out the glue as much as possible to get this stuck down. I do want to have some glue where my clip was, so. And you want to keep it centered on the book, and then kind of spread it out, because like I said, it will come through on a mesh style ribbon, but it shouldn't be a problem once it's all dry. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this, wrap it all the way around, glue it all the way around, and I will give it some time to dry, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have it. We have our little book, and our ribbon closure is dry for the most part. It's not completely cured, but it's dry enough to work with. And so what I've done, I've got my accordion book. I'm just going to stick it in here so I can have an idea about where the closure needs to sit. I've also trimmed down the closure into the kind of chevron pattern to match what's on the ribbon. So it needs to sit about there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a mark on my book about the location where I want to stick down my adhesive Velcro dots. So I have these Velcro dots here. They are sticky, quite sticky, but I do like to put some extra adhesion on it just because of what it is. I mean, this is a journal. It's going to be opening and closing quite a bit. So I just stuck on some extreme power super glue from Hobby Lobby. Let me get a little extra on there. So once I've done that, I am going to go ahead and stick the other side right down so I can know where it's gonna go. I'm gonna put my super glue down. And then I am just going to fold this over and place it. I want to be careful because this super glue is going to seep through the mesh, so I don't want to stick my finger on it. That wouldn't go well. I'm tempted to, but I'm not gonna, I swear. So I'm just gonna let this dry and I will be right back. Okay, so I have my Velcro attached. I can pull that off. And the last thing we're going to do is stick our pockets in. So we're going to cover over this piece of ribbon here. You want to be, just go ahead and put glue on the side that has the flaps on it. And you want to be pretty generous about it. Go ahead and lather on that glue. And then get it stuck down over your piece of ribbon. Just can sort of eyeball it, the centering. Once you have it where you'd like it to be, just go ahead and press it down. bone folder out. You especially want to press around where the ribbon is. Make sure that glue gets in there really good around there. Okay, that looks good to go. So I'm just going to take this second one and glue it down as well. Okay, I want to get that lined up as well. Make sure it's in line with the other one and get that burnished down. Okay, I'm actually going to clip this here. And actually, I said that that was the last thing I'm going to do, but there's one more thing. The panels for this accordion book need to be facing the same direction. So right now, one of them is facing down and one of them is facing up. We need both of them to be facing up. So to do that, we're just going to cut off this last panel. Now, whether you need to do this will depend on how many panels you have. If you used more paper, you'll have more panels. So and less paper, less panels, obviously. So whether you have to do this just depends on what yours ends up looking like at the end. So you want both of these end panels to be facing up so that they can both go in and out of your pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this in. And there you have it. So my Velcro closure is nice and dry. I have glued down my pockets and slid the panels of my accordion book into the pocket. So now you can open the book, lay it flat, you can work on it, work in it, and once you finish it, you can actually pull it out, which is why we made these pockets, and then, you know, permanently adhere these. Pull it out, and you can also work on the back of it. You can put it back in on either side, whatever side you want it to face, front or back, and you can enjoy your artwork in this beautiful handmade journal. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. If you liked it, give it a like, and if you could, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. Have a creative day, you guys. Bye bye.